We've got the Autobot Optimus Prime on the screen with Kedrov and Hipper as his inspirations. This is the build I'm using on the USS Massachusetts. Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Today, we're going to be playing the Tier 7 Premium American Battleship Massachusetts with a non-accuracy commander build and a secondary focused build. And for this video, I want to talk about something because this game happened during my most recent stream, and this was sort of a request from one of the viewers who I think is actually in this game with me, Birdman. He wanted to see a ship with an Autobot, I believe, and so I picked the Massachusetts with Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime is, of course, one of the brawler-focused battleship commanders. There's sort of two flavors of battleship commanders in this game, right? There's the accuracy-focused ones, like William Sims, and then there's the brawler-focused ones, or I like to call them more of the survivability-focused commanders, like Optimus Prime, or the actual historical commander for this line, Willis Lee. I generally don't use the brawling skill on these types of commanders, except for on two ships, the Scharnhorst and the Odin, both of which are German and have nothing to do with the Massachusetts or the American line. For everything else, on which I use one of the survivability or brawler-focused commanders, I tend to have a build similar to this. And during my stream, it was mentioned in the chat that someone wished the Roma could have an accuracy build commander because they think the Roma would be a lot better with such a commander. And they said that, of course, because I played the Roma right before this game, and I had a pretty good game in that. But this game is a lot better. And, you know, it got me thinking. I've heard many people say that they wish the Roma had a commander available to it other than Paolo di Revel or whatever his name is. I think ostensibly because a lot of people in this game believe that accuracy commanders are the be-all, end-all of battleship builds. And I'm here to tell you they are not. You don't need to run an accuracy commander on the Roma, or really any battleship in this game. You can have a ton of success without an accuracy build commander, and in fact, there are some very good reasons why you might want to forgo an accuracy-focused commander and instead choose a survivability-focused one. The main reason, of course, is that all of the survivability-focused commanders with the brawler skill, like Optimus Prime, come with a perk in their fourth row called Master Mechanic, and this gives you more charges of the repair party consumable, which in turn increases your survivability. And that's one of the main reasons why you would want to go with a survivability-focused commander. Because if you go with an accuracy-focused commander, then you are stuck and saddled with the base number of repair parties on your battleship, which is most often 3 repair parties, unless you are the Russians or a legendary ship, in which case it is 2. And having 2 or 3 repair parties is a lot worse than having 4 or 5 of them. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is that all of the accuracy-focused commanders have the flammable cannoneer skill, which improves your main gun's accuracy and their range, but also increases the chance that they will be lit on fire. And fire is more than just a nuisance to battleships. It's actually something that can kill them in pretty short order if they're focused by a lot of HE spam. So, increasing the chance for your battleship to be lit on fire is a knock against your survivability. Also, if you're driving any battleship with any kind of usable secondaries, like the Massachusetts, then it will be the survivability commanders that have the necessary skills for you to create a secondary build, namely because they have the skill Porcupine, which increases the range of your secondaries and I believe also increases the reload of them and their accuracy, I believe, at no cost to you whatsoever. So if you want a secondary build, or you want to build more focused on survivability, then the survivability commanders like Optimus Prime, or Willis Lee, or Ciliax, or Madden, or Kedrov, those kind of guys, they're the ones you want to put on your battleship. And as you can see, we have really had no problems with the accuracy on these guns. We're up to 56,000 damage. We dev-struck a München or a Mainz, I can't remember what it was, some German cruiser, and we've got 2 citadels. So I'd say we're doing pretty well so far, and we're going to continue to do pretty well for the rest of this game. Now, we should probably talk about what we're actually doing in this game, because this allows me to segue into sort of the main theme of this video, or the main point, which is that the accuracy on your battleship, sort of in a sense or in principle, doesn't actually really matter all that much. Battleships are, relative to cruisers and destroyers, the least accurate ships in terms of main gun accuracy in the game. There is always the factor of RNG to contend with, throwing off your dispersion, making your shells land not on the target you're aiming at. So you are always going to have to deal with that in a battleship, no matter how much you buff it, and no matter how many accuracy skills you use on your battleship, it is still probably going to be less accurate than something like a cruiser. In fact, the main crux of battleship play, the main thing that determines whether you will be successful or not, is not the accuracy of your main guns and how much you buffed that accuracy, but instead the positioning of your battleship. Now, if you've been paying attention to this game, you'll note that 2 of my teammates immediately charged into the Charlie Cap at the start. Both battleships, both countered by the enemy destroyer, the Cossack, that went over and took that cap. Both of them sunk because of their reckless charge into that cap. Meanwhile, I hung back from the cap. I've taken up a centralized position, and for a time, there were 4 enemy ships on this flank. You can see that they've focused me down to pretty much no health, and I've been forced to give ground and retreat, but now they're pushing in toward the rest of my team, and their focus has been captured by them. My presence here in the center of the map made it so that those 4 enemy ships on the Charlie flank had to deal with me. And they did deal with me, granted. They did remove a lot of my hit points. I am in imminent danger of being sunk. However, because they had to deal with me in this position, they were not able to move into Bravo as fast as they otherwise might have had I gone into the Charlie Cap with my teammates and been sunk. Then there would have been no friendly ships in the center of the map near the Bravo and Charlie Caps to impede the enemy push into Bravo, which of course is the next logical thing for them to do after having taken Charlie. Now, of course, 2 of them are sailing to the back of the map for reasons unknown to me and known only to them. But in any case, our positioning, although it nearly cost us our life, mostly due to our greediness to get all of our turrets on target and not really angling properly against the threat, giving them too much side, so to speak. Well, our positioning is what is going to contribute to our success in this game. And the total damage we've done right now, which sits at 117,000, perhaps that would be higher if we were running an accuracy build and more of our shells were hitting the target, but it is what it is. And unless your reload is super long, by that I mean much longer than 30 seconds, which is sort of the standard battleship reload, then I really don't think you have to worry about fine-tuning the accuracy on the guns. You just need to position your ship in a place where you can be effective, and you need to shoot, shoot, and shoot again. And of course, we've talked about positioning in battleships before. The goal is to put your ship in a place where you have coverage of the objectives on the map, and the enemy ship has to push past your guns in order to achieve some sort of objective. That's why we took a centralized position, sort of between Bravo and Charlie, and that's why we were shooting at the mass of ships that had originally gathered in Charlie. I think we successfully slowed them down from pushing into Bravo after they captured Charlie, and as a result, even though my team was losing this battle in the early stages of this game, now here in the latter stages of the game, we are winning. And there is only a Missouri left, who is being focused by all three of the remaining team members on my team, including me, and of course the Cossack, who is pretty low health, and because the Cossack isn't exactly the best torpedo boat in the world, he's not really that big of a torpedo threat to us, and we're not really super worried about him because he only has 4 torpedoes. That's going to mean that if he spots us and launches them at us, well, then he is a lot less likely to actually land a killing blow on us. Meanwhile, we're benefiting from the spotting of our teammates on this Missouri. We're able to stick back here, again in the center of the map, around some island cover, and we're able to lob shots over these islands at the Missouri as our teammates spot. Now, obviously, it really isn't the most ideal thing for our cruiser to be spotting the Missouri and being shot at by the Missouri, but it is what it is. The Missouri has been forced to retreat to the back of the map, and he is on the back foot. Now I come around the island, reveal myself to him, and open myself up for some punishment as I net the high caliber medal and go over 150,000 damage done. The Missouri, quite low health. We are unspotted now as we sail away. I suppose one of the issues with the accuracy build is that, or rather the lack of the accuracy build, is that it doesn't offer you as much range as the accuracy build commanders do. The brawler commanders, I don't actually think have a skill that buffs the range of the guns, or if they do, it's in the 4th row of skills, and you would have to choose that over Master Mechanic, which in my opinion would be a foolish choice since it negates one of the main reasons why you would want to use an accuracy build. But the main point here is it's not about how accurate your guns are on your battleship, and frankly, you could take out a battleship and you could have the worst aim in the game, regardless of whether you've spec'd into the accuracy of your guns or not. You could poorly lead your shots most of the time. You could not get the optimal amount of damage when your shells do hit the target, but if you've positioned yourself correctly, then you're still going to be able to have an effect on the game, and your positioning has so much more to do with your ability to influence the game than does the accuracy of your guns. So if you're getting hung up on the accuracy of your battleship guns and you run accuracy build commanders on every battleship in your fleet, well, I would suggest that you focus more on the positioning of your ship rather than the accuracy of its guns, because I suspect if you're that kind of person, maybe you haven't really thought too much about the positioning of your ship. But the positioning is the most essential part of battleship play, not the accuracy of the battleship's guns. They're always going to have RNG to contend with, and we were able to help our team carry this game to a victory thanks to our positioning, not thanks to the accuracy of our guns. So, I hope this has been food for thought for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Consider subscribing, of course, if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.